today we're going to be going over the cradle. It's the #1 pinning combination in the sport of wrestling, and it's not even close. The great thing about cradles is you can do it from any position. From bottom, you can get a cradle. When you have a shot, you can get a cradle. When you're on top, you can get a cradle. So because of the versatility of it, I think that's the right word, versatility of it, you can get so many more pins on the cradle. So there's 2 cradles in the sport of wrestling, a far side cradle and a near side cradle. The first thing I'm going to go over is the far side cradle, also called a crossface cradle if you grab the tricep. So my opponent is down on the mat. I'm starting on top. The first thing I'm going to show you guys is what I call a cradle ride. In order to get a cradle ride, I'm going to drive my opponent forward to get weight off his hips and to his hands. So I normally do that with either a double thigh pry or a spiral ride. So I'm here, I drive him forwards. I'm driving him forwards to get space so my right leg can hook what's called a Western hook. Okay, so I have a Western hook here. My other hand is right on the armpit and I'm draped over top just like this, waiting for him to step up to get my cradle. Again, my opponent's down. I'm going to drive pressure forwards, spiral or double thigh pry. I'm going to use my knees to slide in a Western hook on the back, just like this. My left hand is going to be on the armpit here, and I'm going to be draped over top of this shoulder here. Now, the first technique I'm going to show you guys is this crossface cradle. I think it's the most difficult cradle to get out of because you have their arm trapped. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my crossface. My pinky is going to be at the top of the elbow joint. So when I come across, pinky is going to be right here. All right, and all the rest of my fingers will wrap around. So I drive them forwards. I get my Western hook. I'm wrestling here. When I see the cradle opportunity, my hand's going to come across the face. Pinky is going to go a little bit above the elbow joint, and I'm going to pull the arm in. If my hand is too low, he can bend his elbow, and it really doesn't work. If my hand is too high, I don't have enough strength to pull the arm across. So having the pinky at the elbow joint is very important. Now, how I pull the arm up is not just pulling it straight like this, but I lift my elbow to his face and punch my knuckles down to the mat. So I'm here, punch my knuckles down to the mat. Now, there's a lot of different ways to get the cradle, or to set the cradle up. The way I'm going to show you guys right now is pulling on his far ankle to make him want to step the leg up. A lot of times when I'm here, okay, and I'm on my cradle ride and I start pulling up on this ankle, they'll want to step the leg up to get the grip off the ankle. So go back down real quick, rotate this way. So I'm here, I'm riding up high up on his shoulder here. I'm pulling up, trying to drive him flat. He's going to start rotating up. Now I can hit my cradle. Pinky at the elbow joint. I put my knuckles down, and then I'm going to drive his face to his knee. I always drive his face to his knee because his leg is a lot stronger than his upper body. So it's much easier to just drive his face right to his knee. Now, important details with the cradle. When I cradle, where my elbow joints are very, very important. The elbow joint needs to be behind the knee joint. The other elbow joint needs to be behind the neck. If my grip is shifted, so for example, if my grip is where the knee joint is, when he straightens his body up, it's very easy to break. Similarly, if my grip is shifted towards the head, when he goes to straighten it out, it can also break. So elbow joint behind the neck, other elbow joint behind the knee. Now I learned this new concept from Ben Askren. He talks about what's called the cradle line. The cradle line is an imaginary line between the neck and the knee, just like this. So wherever the leg is, it's an imaginary line like this. Now, my collarbone right here, this line right below my neck, needs to be in the same line as the cradle line. Here's what I mean. When I go to lock my cradle up, whether it's a crossface or far side cradle or near side cradle, which we'll do later, my collarbone needs to be right on this line. If I cradle here, it's not on this line, it's not going to work well. So I need to bring my body up so my collarbone is on the cradle line, elbow joint behind the knee and the neck, and here I can lock. This is where I want to be. In the same way, if I'm doing a near side cradle, collarbone is going to be right on this line right here, just like that. Now, grips. How do we want to grip? 3 different grips. You can go S grip, which is just like you're dapping yourself up, okay? This is a great grip, but it is the weakest of the grips. The next grip is a gable grip, hands together like this, fingers together, and we wrap our fingers around our thumb and grip like that. The strongest grip is a butterfly grip. It's very similar to the gable grip, just a little higher up. Think of it like this. Weakest, stronger, strongest. So as you shift up higher, the grip gets stronger, and it makes it more difficult for your opponent to escape when that cradle is tighter on your opponent. All of these grips work perfectly fine, but if if they're a taller opponent, it's hard to reach, you may need to go here. But if you can get to here, it's a lot better. All right? So let's go back to this situation. We're here. Now, pinky, elbow joint. Now, the last grip I want to talk about is if I have a crossface cradle where I have the tricep, I don't like letting go of it. So I'm here, I'm in the cradle line, I have everything else right. If I have the crossface, I'm just going to grab my own wrist. I like keeping this arm trapped. It's okay if you let go and lock, but I think it's the best grip to keep the arm and grab your own wrist when finishing. Okay? Some other key details. When I put my opponent to his back, so there's a lot of different ways to finish, but once I put my opponent to his back with this crossface cradle, I want to get his shoulder blades flat. A lot of times he's going to be shifted up like this, okay? And if my elbow joint like this right here is not behind his knee joint, that won't make him flat. So that's one thing. Make sure my cradle is locked correctly. Second thing, I'm actually going to scooch away from him. So I'm going to bring my body away so that there's space right here to pull him flat to his back. Bring your body away. Now pull your arms in. Other little details you can add is taking your bottom leg, jamming it into his side to further flatten him out here. And change your locks as need be. But as you can see, like, he's strongest here. He gets weaker and weaker as I crunch his body up more and get that lock tighter. So those are a lot of details with the cradle. Now finishing the cradle. I showed you what to do once they're on their back, but when I finish this crossface cradle, a lot of my finishes are based on this leg here. Where this leg is will determine what finishes I can do. And it depends on this. He's got a couple options, right? He can have his knee down when I get the cradle. He can have his leg up. He can have his leg up even more. Okay, so he can have those different options. Normally back behind him a little bit, up like this, or forward in front of him. And I'm going to take him where there is no post. A post would be a hand or a leg. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Show you a couple options. So I come here, I'm locked in the cradle. In this instance, he doesn't have a post behind him here, okay? He doesn't really have a post right here as well. So I can go either way. So once I'm here, his legs to the side of me, I can pull him straight back, just like this, and finish there. Head in the side, flatten him out. Or I can actually do a forward roll, which I do like, especially if I have the arm trapped. So I'm here. The knee is kind of in front of the toe here. It's not like his foot is in front of his knee. His knee is in front of his toe. So I can actually, right here, do a forward roll where my head goes right where my grip is. My head's going to go right in that pocket. And my body's going to do a forward roll over top, just like this. I'm going to pull him right to his back. Again, scooch away, get the pin. Opponent's back on his base. So those two finishes are based on, take your foot up. If his foot is in this situation where his knee is kind of in front of his toe here. Now, if his foot's further up, okay, So if I go here and I lock here, his foot's further up. I'm not going to hit a forward roll because this foot's going to brace him and not allow me to roll forwards. But what I can do, you guys will see this, I can throw my right knee underneath of him. So I'm here, I lock, I throw my right knee underneath of him, and I'm going to pull him across my back this way. So I've locked this cradle up. My knee is going to go underneath in between his legs. And I'm going to pull him on top of me right through there. Slide back, knee in the side. So that's because, go ahead and step your foot up kind of far towards your head. That's because there's no post here. So when I roll underneath of him, he can't stop that from happening. Okay? Back up. Now, if I cradle him and he's on his knees, so he's here, I cradle, we're right here, he's on his knees. In this case, because he doesn't have his foot up right here, I can actually pull him over top of me in this direction, okay? So I'm here, I've got my cradle locked up. Now the key with this is making sure you get really close to him. So watch what my right leg's gonna do. My right leg's gonna straighten out and my hips are gonna get really, really close to him here so I can pull him over top of me. I wanna get underneath of him. I'll show you what that means. So I'm here, I straighten my right leg out, I get my hips under him to pull him directly on top of me. All right, if my hips are too far away, I'll get stuck here like this. My hips need to go right underneath of him so I can bridge him over and get the pin just like that. Another option we have, again, I got this finish from Ben Askren. He's a really amazing cradler. It's similar to the forward roll finish. So my opponent steps up. We've got this cradle here, and the foot is behind the knee. Okay. Now I know I can take him here, but watch the way I'm going to finish this one. I'm going to go up into a headstand where my body's going to be straight, and I'm going to fall to this hip. So I'm here. I'm going to go up and then fall forwards, pulling him over top of his head. Do that one again. So step up. Watch my body go straight up and then falls that direction. Here, I got the cradle locked up. My body goes straight up and then falls this way. It pulls over top of his head. Again, we can scooch back and get the pin. Just like that. Now, those are the different ways we can finish from the crossface or far side cradle. Now, one little detail. Again, you don't have to go crossface. You can just go right to your lock. But the speed of both your lock and the finish are very important. If you get the cradle and you let your opponent really base out and resist, it becomes difficult to turn them. So right when you lock that cradle up, you want to be looking for the finish. Make sure you have the grip tight, of course, but look for the finish. So what I mean by the speed, so if I have my cradle ride, I drive forwards. I have my Western hook, and I'm riding here. When my opponent steps up, I go right to it. I go right to it. And look at how I'm leaning. So I go immediately, and I'm leaning into that cradle line. My collarbone's got to get there. I can't be back here trying to jump to the cradle. Don't be afraid. Just go right to it. All right. The pin is the number one way to get some. I mean, my bad. The cradle is the number one way to pin somebody. Don't be afraid. You got to get after it. When you see that knee close to the face, you jump right to it and you lock it up. So you don't have to go for the cross face first. You can just jump to your far side cradle, but do it with speed. Same thing with the finish. So step your leg up. So I'm here. Right when I jump to it, boom, I got it locked. It's time to go. Whereas the foot, okay, the foot's back there. I can go forward roll, or I can do that head cartwheel thing. So I go right to it. Boom, pull right over. Side right to it. Don't give him the opportunity to put the knee down and widen his base to stop you from getting the turn. Now, one of the worst situations you can find yourself in when hitting a cradle is your opponent pulls his arm out and is ready to post. So here's what I mean. Maybe my opponent steps up. I go for my far side cradle. Now he pulls his arm free. So pull it right through your body. Good. So if we ever get stuck in this position, so rotate a little bit, we get stuck here. His arm is out. If I go to roll, he's going to post his hand and I'm going to get pinned. So you have really two options from here. You're in a really bad position. You can try to finish the cradle. There is a cradle called a cartwheel finish. We can cartwheel finish, which I'll show you in a second. Or you have to bail on the cradle. Or maybe there's short time left and you just let the time run out. While you're stuck here, do not try and roll across your back. The first thing I'll show you is the cartwheel finish. So all I'm going to do is tuck his head in. I'm going to cartwheel my legs over top like this, all the way over, and pull him over top. Now, the main thing is making sure his head is tucked, because sometimes you can try it and it's not there. So we have this cradle here. My opponent has his arm out. I'm not going to roll across my back, so I'll get pinned. But if I can tuck his head in a little bit by bringing my elbow in, I can cartwheel over top and then pull him right to this position. Now, as you guys can notice, his arm is trapped underneath my body, which makes sure it keeps his shoulders flat. So because my arm is laying on my body's laying on this arm, this shoulder is going to be flatter than a lot of the other pins. So you put yourself in a really great position to get the fall. Show you guys another angle of that. So I'm here. My opponent gets his arm out. I'm going over the top and pulling right to here. Scooch back, get the pin. Now, another option that may happen, you may have to bail. Okay, it's not the best scenario, but if you really feel like your opponent's in an advantage. He's in a better position than you are, so you've got to be very careful. If I'm here and they're posting, I may let go of the hand and work back into essentially a single leg finish. So rotate this way a little bit. Perfect, we're here. So if I have this cradle locked up, take your arm out. I'm here, I feel in danger. Maybe I don't feel like that cartwheel finish is there. I may let go of the head, bring my arm back, and start working for a backside finish to just get back on top. Sometimes it's okay to bail if you're in a situation like that. Now, there are a lot of different ways to cradle, like I said. We can do it from a takedown. We can do it from offense, defense, top, bottom. So I'm going to show you guys some various ways we can get our cradle. So the first one I'm going to show you is my opponent hits a high crotch. So up on your feet. I'm here. My opponent hits a high crotch. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a light sprawl. So rotate this way a little bit. I'm going to do a light sprawl, and I'm going to drape over the top and look for my cross-face cradle right here. I would say this is somewhat of a risky move, but if you see the opportunity there, you can do it. The difficulty with this technique is making sure this elbow gets deep enough, meaning sometimes you'll lock it, but my lock is where the leg is, and then I'll fall over the top. So I need to really lean, get my collarbone to that cradle line, get my elbow deep, just like that. Now, once I have it, I can kind of fall over top of his head and get the pin. So watch the way I finish. I can fall this way, pull, similar to the forward roll finish we did earlier. Then I can scooch back, get the pin. Show you guys that one again. So my opponent goes high crotch. I'm trying to sprawl. I see the cradle there. I turn in. I lean over and lock that cradle up. If he let goes of my leg, I can hop sides. So if he let go to my leg, hop sides and pull him back this way as well to finish. Now, if I miss the cradle, we can go to what's called a leg pass or a funk roll. So again, I feel like this is somewhat of a dangerous move or risky, but sometimes you got to risk it if you got to get the pins. So we have a fail safe. So if I go here and my opponent maybe tries to, say I sprawl, I start going here, my opponent cracks me down, and I end up here. He pops his head out. I'm in a really bad position here. So I'm transitioning to the leg. 2 hands on the leg, pulling it straight, and passing the leg over top, all the way to the knees, If you want to see this single leg finish video, I have a whole one of those filmed, so you can watch that. One more time with that one. My opponent hits a high crotch. Okay, so we rotate this way a little bit. And I'm trying to sprawl. Boom. I'm trying to turn the corner on him. I see the cradles here. I dive over top, but maybe I slip. Here, oh no. I slipped on the cradle, 2 hands to the leg, pull it, pass it over, post, both feet underneath. I step up with my left leg, rotate in, backside finish. Now, another way we can hit a cradle, I showed you guys from top, so go down. When they step up, correct? Here's another little fancy way we can get somebody to step up. First, I get the cross face, okay? Pinky on the elbow. And I start lifting this near leg. When I start lifting this near leg to flip him to his back, so I'm trying to do this move, okay? I'm trying to flip him right over like this, get the pin. He's gonna step his right leg up to avoid me from flipping him over. So when I go like this, he's gonna step his right leg up because I'm trying to flip him. He steps up. When he steps up, I'm jamming the face to the knee and jumping right to the cradle here. Right to there. Okay, then I work on my finishes. Again, I'll show you guys that one. Your back and your knee. I get my cross face. I try to drive him over. He steps up. Then I let go of the ankle. My right hand's on the ankle right now. I let go of that ankle. I jump up to the cradle line, lock it up, sink my body back, pull him back, and get the pin. Next way we can get a cradle, if my opponent's flat on the stomach. Okay, and this is far side cradles for now. I'm here. Now, I do a cross-face cradle. A lot of times you need this arm to be straight. Great way I like to get the arm straight is I dig in, I pull a one-on-one in. He goes to roll it out. My hand goes with him underneath and posts. That prevents him from bringing his elbow back. My bicep is stopping his arm from pulling it back. So again, I pull one in, he rolls, I go here. Then my other hand comes across, pinky to the elbow, and my knuckles go to the mat. Then my other hand goes in between the legs. I walk up to the face because one of the biggest keys with the cradle, bring the face to the knee. Take both feet up towards the head. Drive off these legs, jam his face to his knee, lock it up, switch, and pull back. Again, let's rotate this angle here. I'm on top. I grab the one-on-one. He rolls, come across, boom. Hand here, run up to the face, drive his face to his knee, lock it up. Again, I like grabbing my own wrist, circle back, pull him back, and get the pin. Now, another way we can get our cradle is when they tripod. So my opponent's down. If they're doing a tripod stand-up, say I'm wrestling like this, they go tripod stand-up, keep going, tripod. All right, we're here. Okay, now I'm here. Hey, it's a little dicey, but if I need a pin, I can jump right to the cradle right from here. So I'm wrestling here, my chest over top. I just jump right over top, lock it up. And the way I like to finish here is that cartwheel finish. So circle this way. Once I get this, I'm going to go up into a headstand. Then I'm going to fall to my hip. So back up a little bit. So hands on the mat. Perfect. We're here. I jump over. I lock the cradle up. Then I'm going up and pulling over that way. It's hard to hit that one slow. So hey, give you guys another angle of it. So I'm here. My partner's tripod's up. Wrestling on top. I see the cradle there. I jump up, lock it up. Then I'm going to go up here and then fall to my hip, pull him straight over his head, back up, get the pin. Another time I can hit a cradle is when my opponent sits out. So I'm on top. My opponent goes to a sit out. And when they go to a sit out, their head is very close to their knee. So all I'm going to do is face this way. I'm right on top. I just take my hands out of the pit and I drop right to cradle. Very key thing, make sure your fundamentals are right. Are your elbows in the right position? And is your collarbone in the cradle line? So like if I'm here and I lock like this, it ain't working. It's probably a very bad move to hit actually. So I've got to transition to the side Elbow's got to go deep behind the knee, and I've got to get my lock. From here, very easy finish. Just pull back, bottom knee in the side. One more time. Goes to a sit out. Boom, I can go either side, drop to it, pull back, bottom knee in the side. Last one I'm going to show you from this far side cradle is when my opponent bases up. Now, anytime, go on your base, anytime my opponent has an elbow and a knee on the mat, I can go for my cross face cradle. So, or my far side cradle. So if I can get this elbow to the mat, I can reach over and dig my cradle in. Okay. So perfect opportunity to hit this is when they're basing up. So you're flat in your stomach, sideways, go this way. So I'm here. I like to keep this leg pinned down, so he has to bring this knee up. A lot of times I'll do that by taking my feet, clamping them together on his shoe, and straightening his foot out. So I'm here. He starts bringing his knee up. Now I need to get this elbow to the mat, so I'll bring it down, and then I'll just dive right in and lock it up. Okay, so looking for those cradle as they're basing up. I'm here. As they base up, here, lean right over, lock it up, finish however you guys see fit. As you can see, I have a change of clothes. I actually forgot a couple moves, so I'm gonna incorporate them, the ones I forgot, into the rest of the video. The first one I forgot to include was doing a far side cradle when you have a leg in. So my opponent's down on his base. I bump him forwards. I get my leg in. Now, when I have my leg in, I'm riding cross body here. My opponent will rotate his outside leg up to try to knock me off. Like that. Very common leg defense. If I'm prepared for that, I can catch my far side cradle. So as he rotates up, I lean over into the cradle line. My elbow joint is going behind the knee joint. My other elbow is going behind the neck, and I'm locking my hands. Let's rotate this way. Leg in. Leaning over. I'm very low on the hips here. I don't want to be falling off towards the head and get reversed. Low on the hips. I lean forwards. Elbow joint behind the knee joint. Other elbow behind the neck. Lock it up. Once the cradle is locked up, I can push forwards with my right foot over his shoulder, take my leg out, and then slide away from him and pull him to his back flat. Show you guys that one more time. Let's rotate this way. Another thing I'll do is when my opponent goes to knock me off, look at what my right leg does. So he rotates up. My right leg steps back. So this right leg right here steps back to prevent myself from falling this way. Now I'm here. My collarbone goes to the cradle line. I lean as far forward as I can, lock my cradle up. I can drive forwards over this arm right here, take my leg out, slide away, and pull him flat. Now we're moving on to the near side cradle. This cradle is actually even more powerful. I don't know why I use that term, but it's even more useful than the far side cradle. From the statistics from last year's national championships, I think 25% of all the pins were from cradles or from near side cradles. A couple were from far side cradles, but a lot of them were from near side cradles. And you'll see later on how you can get a lot of near side cradles from the takedowns. All right, but let's go to some fundamentals. So everything is the same as the cross face cradle. My opponent steps up. Okay, so I'm over here. I got to be on the same side though, okay? So I'm here. Elbow, back of the knee, elbow, back of the neck. All the locks are the same. Collarbone on the cradle line, okay? And I'm right here. Now, the best way to finish is in a front bridge. I recommend trying your best to finish in a front bridge. There are some other options, but in my opinion, front bridge is the #1 option. So once I've locked this cradle up, I drive him to his hip, and then I'm going to run him to his shoulders. So drive him to his hip, to the shoulders, and now circle this way. When you have them on their side here, I like to get this knee out. So the knee right now is underneath my chest. I like to pull him up. Some people like to think of it like a sack of potatoes. I'm not from the Midwest or whatever, so I maybe don't really understand it, but pick the body up and try to get this knee to pop out. Try to get this, turn your wrist, your knuckles this way to get this knee to pop out so you can put your chest on the shin bone. This is going to make the pin much flatter. So here I try to lift, get the knee out, then I put my chest on the shin bone, and that's going to get a really tight pin there. If the knee is not popped out, he can keep turning to his stomach, and it's hard to get this shoulder blade on the mat. But once I pop the knee out and I push forwards, it's very easy to get those shoulder blades flat. Now, again, I kind of talked about all the details with the cradle. They're all going to be the same for this, but there is a lot of great ways to get this near side cradle. Now I'm going to go over as many as I can think of, okay? First one is when they just go for an inside leg stand up. So I'm wrestling here, he rotates inside, I just drop right to here. Again, super simple. I'm here, he rotates up, drop here. Now I can lock this up a little tighter, drive him to his hip, drive him to his side, pull up, and finish right in a front bridge. I will show you as I'm finishing these techniques a couple other ways you can finish from this position, but my personal opinion, I think most cradlers would say finishing a front bridge is how you're going to get that pin. So another way we can get this cradle is from the front headlock. So I'm facing here, and then my front headlock, chin, tricep, wrestling here. My opponent steps a leg up. For now, let's step this leg up just so we can demonstrate. But whatever leg's up, I'm going to go to that side. Now, all I'm going to do is hustle to this leg. I'll grab whatever I can grab, but sometimes I'll grab low on the ankle to stop him from rotating. So if I can get the ankle, so if I hustle to here, I think I've got it. It's over. So if I know if I can get here, it's hard for him to pivot away, okay? So I've locked his leg in place. Now my hand, after going to the ankle, transition up to the proper cradle position, elbow behind the knee, lock it up. Then we can finish, drive him to his hip, to his side, lift, finish. Okay, I'll show you guys that again. Maybe from our feet, I can snap him down. Pull my snap. Right here, I can hustle to that cradle. So I'm running to the ankle. And a lot of times I'll bring, before I transition to the cradle, so come this way. Before I transition to the cradle, I'm going to have a knee on both sides of his heel to really lock it in place. So I'm here. I first grab the heel, then I circle here, and then the hand that had the heel will then transition to the cradle at this point. Now, a very common way you'll finish in the front headlock is if your opponent is facing you, so you kind of end up like this, I can roll backwards. So face the camera, go this way. Yep. Set your foot up to me. So we're here. I told you earlier, you finish where there's no post. There's no post here. He doesn't have a foot or a hand right here. That's what I mean by post, foot or hand, or knee or head. So I can do a backwards or a sidewards roll over that way to finish. So I have this near side cradle locked up. Normally this happens from the front headlock. And then I'm going to put my head right here on the side, and I'm going to roll across my back. So my head's going to bury in. I'm going to roll, and then I'm going to keep rolling and go to a front bridge. Show you guys that one more time. So I'm here, and if he has this leg up, I'll just switch. Set my cradle. He's facing me. Head goes in the side. Come up to front bridge. Finish just like that. Sorry if the mic's getting a little crazy from bumping into it. Now, some other things that can happen, okay? We can get it from a shot, single or high crotch. The main thing that I'm trying to do when they shoot, go ahead and shoot a single. We'll work that first. I sprawl here. If I can knock him to his hip, I can get a cradle. So if I can knock him to this hip, whether they're in a single or a high crotch, the near side cradle is there. So I'm sprawling here. If I can bump him to his hip, maybe I grab a leg, maybe I grab an ankle, but if I can push my hips in, so circle a little bit, hips in to knock him to his hip, I've got the cradle here. All right. At this point, I can either try to lock it up, so reach in, lock it up in between the space right here, or I can even lift his leg up. So watch what I do. 2 hands, lock him. I can lift the leg up and then go for it. So we're back here. Single, I'm trying to knock him to this far hip. So I'll sprawl first. I bump him to his far hip. I can either reach right in, lock it up, or I can lift his leg up. Now watch what I do after watch what I do after I lift his leg up. I lift, then my elbow goes deep. Then I transition. Lift, elbow deep, transition. Or if you feel the cradles, if you feel like his knee's close enough to his head, you can just reach right to it. I know this is kind of without saying, but make sure the cradle's locked up before you try to go finish. All right. Some kids, they won't even have their hands locked and they'll try to drive to a front bridge. Lock the cradle up first, then finish. Same thing happens here in a high crotch. So my opponent has a high crotch, head's on the outside. If I knock him to this hip, I've got the cradle. So I'm here, I've sprawled, I had a bump to his knee. If I can get him to this hip, and he still has my leg, I can go right for this cradle. I can either lock it up like just like this, or I can lift, punch the elbow deep, then transition to the lock. 2 options there. In your base. So he's in the high crotch. I bump him over to his side. I lift the leg up, lock the cradle up, always finish in a front bridge. Sometimes they go to your side though, so here's what I mean. I don't like this, but sometimes, hey, you need to get some back points, short time. You can flip him to his side here, end up on your side, but I still like finishing in that front bridge. You can fall on your side, some back points, especially if it's short time, you need to get some back points. But you ideally want to finish in that front bridge. Okay? All right, the next cradle, another Ben Askren favorite here. First time I've ever even seen it in my life. My opponent has a single leg on me. So I'm here. I'm going to put my elbow behind the knee and I'm falling to this hip. All right? And we're locking. You can lock your hands or you can just have a tight waist. So I'll break it down. Step 1, they have this leg. The tight waist is going to be the same hand you normally would whizzer with. Now I'm going to go elbow joint behind the knee and fall to this hip. Right here. Okay? Now, once I'm here, as long as I can keep his head trapped, I'm good. My hand that was around the tight waist is going to start digging in the space here and looking to lock that cradle up. Once I've locked the cradle up, I can bring my hips in, bring them over top of me here, come up, finish in a front bridge. Show that again. Very important that you keep the head trapped in this one. If I go here and he pops his head out, I'm not in the best position here. I can definitely scramble, but I'm not in the best position, okay? Come back up. So you want to keep the space between your hip and his neck small so he can't pop out. So I'm keeping kind of like a sprawl here. Now tight waist, elbow behind the knee, and straighten this leg out and fall to the hip, just like this. Now keep the leg. You can have it straight, doesn't really matter. Just don't let there be space here for him to pop his head out. Now start praying. Bring my hips through. All right, the situation could end up like this. If it ended up like this, I would go and bridge to a front bridge. If I was stuck here, I would come up here this way. The cradle is so powerful. Normally, if you get caught in a sticky situation like that or a tough situation like that, you can back bridge right out of these positions. Just keep the cradle locked and bridge right out of that position where you're on your back. Now, if I go to cradle here and he leans his hip away, so I come here, I go back. Now, if he leans his hips this way, see the way I'm pushing you? Mm-hmm. All right, lean that way. So I'm here. I've locked the cradle up, but see how his hips lean that way? I can't pull him over this way. So all I'm going to do is shift my knee back up. All right, so back up to your base real quick. So I go cradle here, but he's leaning there. Don't fall to your hips, knee. We're here. I can't pull him over anymore. He's resisting that. Just take my leg that was straightened, bring it back to my knee, and finish right there. Show you guys that one more time. So it's the same thing, just that they give us a different reaction. Here, I fall to here. I'm here. I start looking for the cradle. He's leaning his hip away a little bit. All right, I can't pull him over top the way we just did. So I'm just going to take this leg that he doesn't have, slide it up, and finish into that front bridge position. Now we're moving to our feet. I'm going to show you guys a cradle when you have a single leg in your armpit. I'm here with my opponent. I have the single leg right in my armpit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duck my head underneath the leg so his leg is across my shoulder blades. So I lift the leg up and duck underneath. As I do that, I'm going to let go of the ankle, step through, and look for my cradle right here. Once I have the cradle locked up, I can bring him to the mat and get the fall. I wouldn't normally let go of the cradle, but I just don't want my opponent to get hurt right now. So I'm here. I get my single leg. I'm going to go underneath as I squat down here. Let go of the ankle at this point. Bring my hands through. Lock my cradle up. Bring him to the mat and get the fall. This next technique I learned from Jaggers, one of the best cradlers in the world. I learned it at a camp in Rhode Island when the whole Ohio State staff came down to Rhode Island to show us how to wrestle. So my opponent has a single leg on me. Yeah, this is fine. I rotate this way a little bit. Now, when a wrestler hits a single leg, a good wrestler is going to keep their leg up just like this. They keep their leg up like this. I can do a cradle. I'm going to call it the Jaggers cradle because he's the one that I learned it from. So I'm going to do what's called the Jaggers cradle, all right? I'm locking what's called a chest cradle. My elbow's going behind the knee. This elbow, instead of going around the neck, is going around the chest. So I'm going to be like this. I'm here. I'm going to step, and I'm going to lock. Elbow behind this knee, this elbow kind of behind the armpit area, like this. The single leg, I'm stepping, getting my elbow behind that knee. This elbow is going right here instead of being around the neck, right here. Once I'm here, I can knock him over to his hip, and then I can start digging in for my cradle in between the space here. I can also switch to here, lift the leg up to help pop his head free, and then go for the cradle. Show you guys this one more time. So go ahead and on the single. And I actually forgot one more detail. What I'm going to do is step my leg, punch my elbow here, and fall to my knee. Now watch this last detail. Let's circle this way. Watch what my legs are going to do. Step, punch the elbow behind. Now watch this knee. It's going to slide to this knee. So I was here, slide. I have my lock. Now I'm going to bump him over to his hip and look to fish in between here for my cradle. Always finish in a front bridge. All right, this is a very unique cradle, super fun. Definitely try this one out at your next match. But my opponent has a high crotch on his feet. And stand up on your feet. And we're here, okay? What I'm going to do, it's kind of a Hail Mary move, you know, a little bit of desperation move. But my right hand is around the head, okay? Just like this, my right hand's around the head. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fall to my left hip. My right leg is going to go in between. So it's very complex, but I'll show you guys what it looks like. I'm going to fall like this. Okay? Show you guys one more time. Watch what my legs are doing. The right leg, the leg he has, is going in between. The left leg is just swinging this way, and both legs are going like that direction. Okay? So the knee to the chest actually shut the microphone off. So this technique and the next technique are actually going to be voiced over. So I'm sliding my legs and landing on my hip, and my left hand is going to hook around the ankle. At this point, I can almost scissor my legs and roll him over top of his head, and then come on top, lock my cradle up, and finish in a front bridge. Again, my right leg is going to slide in between his legs. My left leg is going to kick out in the same direction, grab the heel. That momentum just swings him right over, and then I can lock the cradle up and finish in the front bridge. We'll do this one again. Feet swing out to the side with my right leg landing in between, roll over top, lock the cradle up, get the pin. We'll show this one more time, full speed, where I'm just going to drop in, roll over, and get the pin. Always finish in a front bridge. Next technique that I messed up the voice for is a cradle from a cross ankle pick. So for a near side cradle, you can also cradle the bottom leg. It's called a bottom leg cradle, but it's the same technique. So I'm doing it from the cross ankle pick. All I'm going to do is get my opponent or my partner to step his left leg forward. Then I'm going to drop in to an ankle pick. I'm making him step forward so I can get that foot forward to actually be able to reach it. My left hand on the tricep is going to drop down to the ankle. My head is dropping to the side. I'm going to drive into him and knock him over to his hip. So left hand drops down, head in the side, drive him over. If you watch it again, you're also going to see my right knee hits the mat as well, and I'm finishing in that bottom leg cradle. But I'll hit this a couple different times for you guys. So I'm here, got him in the front headlock, I make him step, drop my right knee down, right to the cross ankle pick, lift the leg up, finish in a near side cradle, always finishing in a front bridge. Show it again, make him step, drop in, right to the cradle. Now, if you're in a crackdown position, you can still work back to that near side cradle. So my opponent has me in a high crotch, and I'm here. If I can get him to this hip, I got the cradle. So I'm here. All right, I might scooch the corner a little bit. All right, I'm going to lock around the leg and the chest. It's called like a body cradle, chest lock. But I'm locking around the leg and the chest. Leg and the chest. Try to already get your elbow deep. Now, when I'm here, I'm going to drive him over to this hip. So I'm going to drive up to that hip. If I can get him to this hip, I got the cradle. I just let go and transition around the head, and then I have my cradle locked up right to the finish. All right, so we're up on feet. Opponent hits a high crotch. Maybe I sprawl, but he cracks me down. We're here. I'm going to scooch to lock up around the knee. So this elbow is going to go behind this knee in the chest. Not cradle to get right away. I'm here. Now I'm going to drive him to his hip. Then I'll let go and go around the head to get the cradle and get the pin. Some other opportunities. My partner hits a low single on me. This is one of my favorite ways to get a cradle. I'm going to step to the side and straighten my leg out on the back of his neck. So step to the side. Head should still be in between your legs, and go like this. Okay? Show that again. Different angle. So I'll come here, low single. All right, this is the perfect angle right here. I'm going to step, toe pointed to the ceiling, leg straight. His main counter to this position is coming out the back door. Okay? So you need to put a lot of pressure on his head to prevent that from happening. So this leg needs to be straight, pointed to the ceiling, and I even take my right hand, grab his lat, and I put weight on his head. I need his head to be down. If that's his way out of this. That's his way of defending this technique. Now, once I'm here, my hands lock around the knee, just like this, right around the knee. I lift, elbow deep, just like we showed earlier. Lift, elbow deep. Now, once I'm here, I'm going to post and flip him over his head. Post, flip him over this way. Now, from here, I'm coming on top of him. And looking for my cradle right here. Show you guys that again. My opponent goes low single. Here, I step to the side. My foot straightens out. I can reach right to here. This is the lock. In between, around, lift, elbow deep. Now I post, come over his head, and then I come on top. Step on top, back up a little bit, lock the cradle up, and get the pin. Okay. Now, another way can happen from a different type of low single defense. My opponent has a low single or regular single, maybe backside finish on me, and I'm here. These techniques go into actually more detail on my low single defense video, but I want to throw these in because they're part of the cradle. I'm going to lean back and post my hand behind his leg. From here, I'm going to shift my hips forward and try to crunch his knee into his face into his own knee. Once he pops his head out on the opposite side, my knees change. Look at that change. Change. I'm going to lift the leg up, start looking for my cradle now. As I drive in and kick my leg back, I've got the cradle, I can get the pin. Show you guys that one more time. He has this. Okay. I face the same direction he faces and I lean back like this. Don't turn into him. You're going to hurt your knee. Now I start sliding. He pops out. Immediately change. This knee goes down, the leg goes up. Pick the leg up. Start looking for my cradle. Elbow joint behind the knee. Start looking for it. Get your leg back and get the pin. Another opportunity we get at the cradle when we shoot on our opponent. So I hit my single. All right. My opponent is on the mat maybe. Go to hands on the mat. We're here. If his head goes down, I can cradle him. Okay, I do have to be careful. Make sure his head is really close to his knee. Don't start looking for a cradle now. So a lot of times I might have shin whipper. I start coming up like this. If I see this here, if his head's close to his knee, I can let go and come right to my cradle. This can be at any point. Just make sure the head is close to the knee, because this is what I'll do a lot of times. You're getting a single on me. So if I'm here and I have a shin whizzer, so say right now, if he goes for a cradle, if he goes for a cradle, see my head's kind of away from him, that might cause more of a problem for him. So if the person has his head too far away, don't go for it. You're splitting your hands. Make a calculated decision. Is the head close enough? Am I going to get extended? If you know the risks, I think it's perfectly fine to hit. So we're here. He's got a shin whizzer. Maybe I'm shelving him up. Okay, I see the head's close. I'm just going to go let go of the grip, go over top of the head, and lock my cradle up. Finish it however seems necessary. Now, this is a Wade Schalles special. This is where I first learned really how to cradle. #1 pinner in the history of the world. And he calls this the under leg cradle. So if my opponent hits a low single, and we're in this position here, I can lock a cradle through here, just like normal, regular cradle. Sometimes the space, right, I told you earlier, I want to keep my legs straight and really toes to the ceiling. So sometimes there's not enough space here to really lock that cradle up. So I can actually lock underneath my leg here. All right, this is really for those tall wrestlers. If you're not tall, it might be too hard to reach, but the scenario might call for it. We got to be able to pin no matter what. I can't reach in here to cradle. Maybe I can here, I can't reach here. Go underneath the leg, lock the hands up. Now I'm just going to finish straight over top of my back, hold them right here, and just get some back points, maybe get the fall. So it's definitely a very unique one. You can mess around with it, but my opponent goes low single. Anytime they're coming out the back door, you're wrestling here, you're going to cradle underneath your leg, but everything else is the same. So we're here, we've locked it up, we're going over top, right there, holding it, getting the back points, maybe getting the fall. Next technique, ice cream soda. These are a little bit wild, but I want to show some fun stuff at the end, you know? So stand up. Now I got my opponent in a front headlock, but they're on their feet, okay? What I need to do is make sure this foot's close enough, so I might circle, get him to step. Now this is what I'm going to do. My left hand is going to go to the heel, and I'm going to fall to my side. So I step in deep, same leg that reaches, that foot steps. So see that kind of fall there? It's very difficult to do slow. So I'm going to step my same leg I reach with, same hand I reach with, like this. As I do that, I'm falling to this hip. Now, right from here, I'm pulling him over top of me, coming on top, locking the cradle up. So I'll show you guys that one again. So I'm here. That foot's a little forward. I see it's there. I need to get the pin. I'm going to step my left foot out and grab the leg. Fall back, top, lock it. Now, earlier we did a far side cradle with the leg in. If you're a leg rider, you can also hit a near side cradle if they rotate their inside leg up. So I have my cradle. Now my opponent's gonna rotate the same leg you have in up. A lot of times they can throw you off this way to get their reversal. So if my opponent does this, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to fall to my hip. So I'm gonna push back, fall to my hip, and look for my near side cradle right here. Good. I've got the leg in. As he starts rotating his leg up, I'm falling back. This hand's over the head, and my other hand's gonna drop behind the knee. Once I lock it up, my head's gonna stay right here because I don't want him to get his arm out to get a reversal on me. So I lock it up, elbow joint behind the knee joint, elbow joint behind the neck. Once I'm here, I can actually flip him over top of his head to finish this technique. Flip him over top of his head, but we always want to finish in a front bridge. So I step up, finish just like that. I'm here, he rotates his leg up, I fall back to my hip, lock the cradle up, use my head to block him from his arm coming out, and then I'm gonna use, I can even, as I bring him over, look at my left leg, I can elevate him up. Use that leg to flick him over. Once I get my back points, come up into a front bridge. Now, this is a very important concept. As you guys start getting really good at your cradles, you have to be able to hit them when your opponent scrambles. Look out for it. The guy likes to funk roll a lot. The guy keeps rolling your legs. Look for those cradles. I'll give you a perfect example. If I hit a single and I have it shelved, maybe your hands are on the mat, so wrestle in here. Some people might go to grab this ankle here. So go ahead and like kind of reach in and grab the ankle. Boom, they start scrambling here. As you notice, when they start scrambling, they may, if their head is ever close to their knee, go for it. When I say scrambling, I mean they're trying to grab my ankles as a defense. So he reaches for my ankles. If right here, I could go right to cradle. Easy. All right. Or another example. I'm here in the high crotch. He goes off the funk roll. Right? He's here. This is perfect. I should be looking for a cradle here. Start lifting the leg up, reaching back, looking for that cradle. So this is more of a concept, but anytime your opponent's scrambling, looking for rolls, look for those cradles. I'll try to get some more kind of examples, but a lot of times I'm getting it when they're trying to do a funk roll or a leg pass. I'll be here. Again, I'll show you that one more time. I shoot my high crotch, going a leg pass. I just start lifting this leg up, shelving it on my hip, and leaning back into that cradle. Do it all the time to kids. That's why I'm a big supporter of the sprawl. So it was my last instructional, or two weeks ago. All right, now the last one, you can even hit it from bottom. So my opponent has me in a crab ride. This will be my last one for the day. So I'm here. I'm going to get underneath a leg. So I can be in a leg. I'm going to step out of it and get my arm underneath. Now from here, I'm going to pin myself, slide away as much as possible. When they have a crab ride, they want me in tight. I want to be like this. Because when I go to turn, it's very difficult for them to stay on top of me the lower my shoulders are down. So all I'm going to do from here, show you guys again, step out, get underneath, pin myself, slide. Now my right hand's just going for the head as I rotate that way. Now you have to do this pretty quickly because you don't want to get your arm trapped. So we're here. Scenario that could happen, right? Again, it doesn't matter what side I do it to. I get to this position. If I just chill here, I could be given a back point. This is like a weird position. So when I go for it, aggressive, come right up. So that's all I got from the cradles. Hopefully that gave you guys a great insight into the #1 pinning combination in the world. If you're not doing cradles, you need to do cradles. Again, comment below if you have anything else you guys want to see. I've got a lot of amazing technique videos that's going to be coming out in the future. So comment below what you guys want to see.